everybody, my name is Amos for amosyomusic.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can actually treat snaps to make them pop in the dance mix. This song is called Tuya Soy from the artist Samantha Encarnacion, courtesy from themixacademy.com. You can listen to my mix of this over at my website amosyomusic.com, or you can check out the link in the show notes below. So I'm going to play a section leading up to the pre-chorus where these snaps will be actually featured, and from there I'll just show you what my processing is behind it and my thought process as well. So here we go.
Quiero más, no hay tiempo para nadie, pero si perdiera mi primer amor con mis actos de traición, no hazme recordar que todo es para ti. Es tu vida, tu tiempo, tu concepto, tu mensaje al mundo.
Alright, so now I'm just going to mute the vocals so you can hear how the snaps actually play together with the rest of the instruments. Alright, cool. So now let's show you what I've done for the snaps. Let me just loop this section and solo it up. So here is how it is by itself. Alright, cool. So it'll be easiest for me to show you the effects behind it, as there aren't a lot going on. So I have this drum room send going up to this drum room aux right here. This is just the Slate Verb Classics, a great reverb plugin. I'm just basically using the preset Realistic Full Drum Room 2, which I'm sending the rest of the entire drum kit into this drum room and blending them to taste as well. So why am I sending the snaps together with the drum kit into this drum room is so that I can make them feel as though they are coming from the same space and they don't feel too detached from each other. So that's the reason why that I'm sending it to the drum room. And on the back end, I have just a basic filter going on, low and high pass, nothing too crazy about. And then these four or three notches are just something I heard during the mix or when I'm actually mixing through the entire drum kit. I just pull them down so that they don't clutter with the direct mics as well. So here's how it sounds like. I'm going to mute the second reverb. We'll talk about that later. And here's how it sounds like with and without the drum room. So it's really subtle. It's going to be heard more evidently when the rest of the drum kit comes in. You're going to feel as though the snaps are now belonging to the same place as where the drums were being tracked. So the next effect right here is just the snare plate that I'm actually sending over to. So the snare plate, basically, why I actually send it to the snare plate is because at certain sections of the song, the snaps are actually playing together with the twos and fours of the snare as well. So I wanted them to sound like one big snare sound. So that's how I actually did it. Same concept as what I had with the drum room. I'm actually just making all of them come through the same space. And over here, I have the EMT 140 plate going on. So that's at the B setting. Just a little bit of input filter, EQing a little bit and putting up a little bit of the pre-delay. And I believe same concept, just EQing a little bit at the back end as well. So here's how it sounds like with the snare plate on, and I'm going to take it out. So here's without, with. So you can hear that it's adding a little bit of decay as well, which is kind of cool because the way that I've actually timed the 140 is from the session tempo. So this song is tracked at, let me just quickly look through, 154 beats per minute. So using an app called Producer Tools on my phone, I basically calculated how far each snap hit is going to happen and then I'm just going to time that so that every time when the snap hits, the decay is going to end off just before the next snap begins. So it creates a nice long tail towards that. So that's all we've got for effects. So I'm just going to play the effects, both effects together, and then I'm going to bypass them in and out. So here's together. I'm going to take both of them out. So it sounds really dry, and then with them back in. Cool. So now that we've got the effects out of the way, I'm just going to show you my processing behind creating the snaps to pop through this dance mix. This mix, in the pre-chorus, especially for this pre-chorus, we have a lot going on. We have guitars that are actually playing as well. We have vocals that actually, additional vocals that actually come in just for the pre-chorus. So if we neglect the snaps, they can actually sound smaller and smaller, and they might not even be heard through the mix. So I've actually did a lot just to make sure that they actually come through loud and clear. So the first thing on the snaps we have is just the Slate VCC through the VMR plugin. Let me just mute everything else. So here's how it sounds like without and with. And with. Okay, so you can hear there's a slight volume difference, but what I want you to actually also hear is how the mid-range actually comes up as well. So that's going to help it cut through. So the first plugin on the chain is the Slate Digital VMR with VCC, just on the Brit 4KE model right here. And I've got Revival on the back end, just adding a little bit of thickness behind it. I'm just going to play it for you with and without. So this with, I'm going to take it out. Sounds a little bit thinner, a little bit weaker. So that's what the thickness here is actually doing. It's just adding a little bit of low mids into it. So giving a little bit more beef. Sounds as though there are more than one person snapping in the room. So next, along that, I'm adding Soundtoys Decapitator. I'm just distorting it in a way that I'm actually creating harmonics as well. So that's going to actually cut through small speakers. And let's hear how it sounds like with and without. Without. With. So I'm just driving it, backing back the output to level match them as close as I can. I'm also doing a punish. This punish just basically adds additional gain into the circuitry, distorting it even further, and I'm also actually darkening it. But I'm actually blending the mix. I'm not using the entire sound of this whole decapitator right here. I'm just actually using about 67% of it in this P style right here. As I'm playing this back and forth, you're also hearing a lot of low-end rumble that's happening as well. So with that, I'm actually filtering out whatever that's not needed to be there from the boost that I've actually done in the decapitator. So here's with and without. Without, you can hear all of that rumble. And with, and I'm also shelving the top end so that it's not overly bright. Next on the chain, it's another distortion module. This is the Analog Design Black Box HG2. It's a great plugin that I just picked up recently. Lots going on, more than what I can actually talk in this tutorial. But basically, it's just tubes and transformers that are actually adding more coloration and saturation. It's basically the same idea, same concept as what I had with the decapitator, in which I want it to be heard in smaller speakers and I want it to cut through on as many platforms as possible. So this plugin has a saturation circuit which runs in parallel with the pentode and triode tubes. As you can see, I'm boosting a fair bit amount of that and backing back the output because it's also going to be adding a little bit of volume. And I'm also using this air circuit right here. This air circuit is just basically going to add a sheen. You may be wondering, why am I cutting the high end over here and yet I'm adding them back on again? So it's actually different. This air circuitry is actually to my ear, it's smoother and it's cleaner. Whereas that Pro Q2 is just basically to refine whatever that the decapitator module is actually putting on. So that Pro Q2 is just meant to tame that, and then I use the black box to actually add that back in again. So I'm going to play it with and without. So here's with, without, with, without, and with. Okay, so you can hear that it just basically comes forward. It's what I want. I want it to be present in the mix. So great plugin right here. And then follow that up with another EQ, boosting mid-range. I believe this is something that I actually did later on. Towards the end of the mix, I realized that I need a bit more mid-range, and that's what this frequency is all about. So let's hear what this is doing. Here's with, without, with. Really subtle. I'm actually boosting this frequency right here, 1K. It's more of that knock. And then lastly, following up with another EQ. This time I'm using the EQ2 by Mark Audio. It's a great EQ plugin right here. It's famous for this airband circuitry, which I'm using at 2.5K. You can see that it actually goes all the way up to 40K, and it's really smooth. It's similar to what I did through the black box as well. So I'm boosting a little bit of 2.5. I decided I don't need that airy frequency from the snaps. I just need something present, so that 2.5 is there. And I'm also using a little bit of 1.4K, 4.5 dB of 1.4K. So this plugin, you can see there are red numbers and there are white numbers as well. So that's actually determined through this toggle switch. So this, when your switch is down, you're basically looking at whatever that's on the white lettering, and when you have it up, it's the red. I'm just gonna bypass this in and out so you can hear how it sounds like. So this is with, without, with. So you can hear that it's also bringing up mid-range, that 1.4K that I was talking about, and that 2.5K. It's just pulling that forward even more. And there you have it. So I'm just gonna play this once again with and without all of my processing and my effects going on. So here is how it sounds like after. And then I'm gonna quickly mute everything, mute my effects, and bypass everything. Pull them back in. And together in the song with the instruments without the vocals. Cool, and then now with the vocals in. Let me just play a little bit leading up to that as well.
Cuando te menciono, tú contento estarás. Nuestra vida mía no es, esta casa mía no es. Yo fui creada para ti. Es tu vida, tu tiempo, tu concepto, tu mensaje.
Alright, cool. So I hope that helps you. If you have any questions, email me at amos@amosyomusic.com or leave any comments in the comment section below. Until next time.